underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Beyond.
Beyond.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 172. I'm your host, Greg Miller, alongside, for the first time ever, his new name, ladies and gentlemen. He only does everything.
He only does everything?
He only does everything. I've been up. It's been a long night for Greg Miller.
I know.
He only does everything, Colin Moriarty. Colin, how are you?
I like
are you
that.
excited to have a new name?
I am. That's a
It
good
won
name.
with 46.62% of the vote.
How many people voted on this?
It was 6,000. 6,000 people voted for your new name here on Podcast Beyond. Runner-up was the editor formerly known as Guides Guru with a pitiful 21%. Not even close.
Okay.
It wasn't even close.
This is an overwhelming
He only does everything, Colin Moriarty.
Nice.
Make some fan art, everybody. Get it in here so we can get it on the wall.
Right on.
Also, remember, we're the conversational podcast. If you want your questions read on Podcast Beyond, you go to Beyond. You send an email to beyond@ign.com. Like Jonathan does. Jonathan writes in and says, "Can Scott Lowe come on the show so he can describe all the details of the NGP?" Sure, Jonathan. Hey, Scott Lowe.
Hi.
Gear God, Scott Lowe's here.
Back by popular demand. Or at least by Jonathan demand.
Jonathan demand.
Yeah.
No sense beating around the bush, ladies and gentlemen. The world's changed. Everything is different
Everything
as
is
of this
different.
morning. So let's get right into it with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. Biggest news of the year so far for the PlayStation community is, of course, NGP, the gross national product, I believe.
Yep, national gross product.
Yeah, okay. PSP2 is real, ladies and gentlemen, and it is codenamed Next Generation Portable, NGP.
Worst name ever.
Well, it's a code name, right?
It's a code name, but why do you need a code name on a product that's part of an existing series?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Why do we, Scott Lowe?
We don't. It's just so I honestly think they're going to come out with something new, like some new name for the entire series, and then but they haven't quite figured it out yet. But they're not ready to really kind of press it. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, let's get through the basics. The whole show, by the way, is going to be this NGP, PSP2, new portables talk here. That's all the kids' questions were. So get ready for that. If you have no interest in the PSP, I would guess fast forward to the song at the end of the show. So here's the Roper Report. Oh, well, Colin's got a whole bunch of stuff on here. Oh, no.
There's a lot of stuff that's not PSP stuff.
Okay,
on there.
so stick with this part and then go to the ending song.
Okay.
First story, yes, the PSP2 is real. It's codenamed Next Generation Portable. Here's what you need to know. NGP uses a new game medium in the form of small flash memory cards. Thoughts on this?
I think it's a nice idea.
I think it's effing terrible. Come
Really?
on. I want a hard... I love the idea of flash storage and have all my games on one system. I'm praying that I can rip these from the flash cards to some kind of in-store storage.
Yeah, I can't imagine them not allowing you to do that because I think this product theoretically could kind of bridge the gap between the exclusive digital platform and the hard copy medium where people can actually go out and buy games. So
They haven't... we have the specs here, but is there anything in here about...
what the format is? No.
Okay,
Like
and
it seems like a new proprietary format, which
Okay.
means you're not going to be able to just use like a
Like
SD
Sony.
card or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So I mean, it's definitely going to be like the UMD all over again, maybe marginally more successful.
Okay. But there's nothing in here about any kind of storage on the device, is there?
No, so theoretically, you could they could support an entire digital library of every hard copy game they sell, like in that disc format, or in that flash storage.
That's what I suspect is going to happen too.
Yeah.
I think Scott's totally right in that, like, people, we're kind of comfortable buying digital games, but I don't think everyone is yet.
Yeah,
I think
I
most
understand
people
that.
aren't.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you read the piece that the three of us actually wrote, people were like, people would even say, we need a UMD drive, and I want to buy games, and I won't buy this unless there's a way for me to go into a store and buy a game. So this is a way to lull them into a sense of security,
well,
and then
It's a way
Yeah.
to keep GameStop around too, right? Not keep them around, but keep them not pissed off, right?
Well,
I suppose.
not only that, but I mean, as I love digital distribution as much as everybody, but if you are downloading a several gigabyte game, it takes forever. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
kind of the broadband in this country just doesn't support that kind of speed right now. So, like, I don't want to sit around and wait for hours. I want to go to the store. It may actually take just as long to go to the store and do it, but I mean, I want that instant gratification. It's like, okay, I got this game.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I understand. Okay. All right, next on the NGP hit list. It uses a touchscreen on the front and a touchpad on the back. Sony uses the words, quote, touch, grab, trace, push, and pull to describe what you can do with the screen and pad. How's that stick with you? How's that in your craw?
I don't like those words, the terms they're using for it, but basically, in short, that says to me gesture, support, like multi-touch gesture.
Yeah. They showed the...
Little Deviants.
Thank you. I'm so tired. Little Deviants.
That game sounds cool.
And from the back, you can push it up. You push on the touchpad to make hills and make change
Shape
the terrain
the world,
as you play. Yeah. If they could do a good SimCity with that.
Yeah, I mean, people are really kind of weirded out by the touchpad, and I think even I was in the beginning when I first heard about it. But I think like that has like incredible capabilities in terms of like shaping the new gameplay experience, and it goes beyond simply the the on-screen touchscreen. I'm really pumped for that, and more importantly, what I'm most excited about on the touchpad front is that it basically can serve as a trigger. Like in absence of an actual trigger, that
not having R2 or L2.
So you could actually theoretically a game developer could map those functions to just simply tapping the back of the device.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited about. For this, something they didn't talk about, which kind of was a little disconcerting, was I was hoping that we were talking about the games in a minute, but I was hoping that they were going to say like you'll have these games plus you go on PlayStation Network, all these games will work. And then you can use R2 and L2 on the touchpads, like you were saying, mapped. Because that was one of the big complaints, is how you're going to do it without two triggers on either side. So that, I think, is the solution. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that they do something like that.
All right. The release date is still unknown, though they say it will be ready by the 2011 holiday season.
Makes sense.
I like that. I hope it's worldwide, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, some people have questions. We have a lot of questions.
There were some reports that it was like a lot of the kind of like the information that was first flooding out was that it was going to be Japan in like holiday, but not necessarily the United States.
I don't want that. No.
But I don't think that's the case. I think they said worldwide.
All right.
Okay.
The price is still unknown, and is probably the biggest thing we don't know about yet.
Yeah, I think it's like the X factor.
What's the price going to be, Colin? Give me your
$400 probably.
Yeah. Oh God, that's a lot of money. 300. I was like ready. I was like, okay, I think we'll be all right.
I don't know. I want to say $299. I really hope they take the hit like they did with the PlayStation 3 because I think they have to have learned their lesson from the PSP. Even 200, even 300 is pretty high.
300 is high.
Yeah.
But if it was giving you something, I mean, like as good as it looks, as slick as the thing looks, if it was that great, then I can see 300 making more sense. Whereas 400 is a huge number for somebody to try to wrap their head around.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like a lot of people when I've in the short time I've had to discuss this with people are like, the Wii, Nintendo did it with the 3DS that it's more expensive than the Wii.
Yeah.
But the Wii is a piece of shit, to be honest. I mean, it's really old tech. It has really, it's gotten really cheap for them to produce, whereas the 3DS is wholly new. Whereas
remember, Gear God here is talking technical specs, not just the Wii as a system, so don't be all jerky.
No. It's I mean, your perception of the platform and the games and stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like as far as like the tech is concerned, it's several years old and it's really cheap for Nintendo to produce. So the fact that the 3DS, which is based on newer tech, still kind of like cheap, but at the same time, kind of a little more advanced. It makes sense that it's more expensive. Whereas this, it's like it's basically taking a console that is still really expensive to produce and making it a little more, making it into a portable version.
All right. Okay. The NGP won't have the XMB, but instead an all-new interface called Live Area.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I mean, obviously we haven't played with it yet, but
it sounds.
It will replace XMB.
There's no XMB on this thing. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that.
Well, that's what they've shown.
Yeah.
From what obviously everything right now could change. Scott Lowe says it could possibly be bigger than it already is, according to prototypes.
So the press release that they included for all the specific dimensions, they listed off. They said that it, in parentheses, tentative excludes largest projection. So theoretically, they could have a bigger prototype out there. Because again, these are all prototypes. They're not actually the design is not finalized. So this could be, they could make it bigger, they can make it smaller.
I guess we should touch on this too. We haven't described it if you haven't seen it. Imagine a PSP 3000, bigger, a little bit bigger, bigger screen by a lot, right? Or by
5 inches.
Yeah.
As compared to, what is it, 4.3?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you got 2 analog sticks there. Not nubs, sticks. They're full on. They're up. They're there. Ryan Clements says they feel very good. Everybody who's played with it say they feel very good. Touch screen to full width.
It's actual thumb sticks, not thumb
correct.
nubs.
Yeah, it's not the nub. Yeah. They're sticks. Interesting to see if we can push those down and lock them or something. How are you gonna?
Yeah, because the portability is definitely.
How are you gonna get it in your pocket?
Yeah,
that's my question.
And it has like a kind of rounded on the back design, kind of like the original PlayStation Portable did.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually we're actually going to break it down for you guys later, but like comparing the dimensions of this thing to other devices, so there's a lot. The actual thickness is not much more than the actual PSP,
but the length of it gets me.
Yeah,
so we looked at the shots last night from I think Engadget, right, where they were holding a PSP up next to it, like in the
the
case.
width of it. Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
I think it's like
7.4
or something like that, like wide. So it's definitely a hefty device.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yep.
NGP will be linked to the internet with a constant Kindle-like 3G connection to allow multiplayer gaming and game downloading, etc.
Who used the words Kindle?
I think Colin did here in his
Yeah, I
report.
Okay.
But
isn't that the idea? It's not like
it's 3G. We don't know how it works.
Well, because the Kindle, they have free 3G standard. There's no service plan or anything like that. Whereas this, I think they have to have some sort of like, you have to sign up for data on that.
Because wasn't it in? Didn't they say in Japan that the Japan carrier is going to charge people to use the 3G? Because I was under the impression that was why I use Kindle. Was like you can't necessarily surf the internet, but if you want to go on PlayStation Network, then you can just do that.
Well, that's the big question. One of many big questions. But like I feel like, I don't know, for that much data, especially with United States carriers being so fickle about like how they use their data and the way they're charging smartphone users, like by the gigabyte in some instances. I think it'll be interesting to see how, because this is such a media-rich device. So if you're streaming or downloading content from the internet, like it's going to be using a lot of bandwidth, and I think whatever carrier it ends up going on is going to want to get some money out of it, unless Sony decides to subsidize it, like Amazon does with the Kindle, which would be a huge expense for them. So,
but it'd be cool.
It would be really cool.
That would be awesome because they're doing so much neat stuff with it. Like as far as like the live area stuff is showing you who is around you, who's playing what. You can click on what they're playing, go and download it right away, and have it.
It's such a staple experience the way they described it. Like like it's their big push with this thing. So it's like a social device and constantly connected.
This is what's weird about it. So it's conversational. So we're gonna deviate for a second. It's so big, right?
Yeah.
Like it's big. That was always my problem with PSP 3000 or any of them, right? Except Go, is that it was so big in my pocket. So now you've made a device that's bigger, but gives me a reason to carry it around all the time.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I never liked.
I'm sorry, no.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah, I mean, I never liked carrying it around in my pocket, anyways.
Yeah.
Like it just, no matter how small, even the PSP Go was too big for me.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
A little bit thicker than an iPhone.
Ooh, yawning.
Yeah, me and Scott Lowe were up till 2. We were at the office until 2 a.m. working and stuff. So sorry if when I woke up at 7 to get back on my feet.
I was sleeping at 2.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I think it's interesting, but at the same time, like when you think about like a tablet. You carry it around with you. It's bulky. It looks like you're carrying a data pad in fucking Mass Effect or whatever. Yeah. So there'll be a way around it.
I guess that's true, right?
I think you'll want to be compelled to bring it with you. I think I don't think portability is really as important anymore as people think it is. I mean, it's nice to have a phone in your pocket, but you have your backpack or your satchel with you.
Yeah.
You're on the train or whatever. I personally rarely travel without a bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just throw it in there and everything's fine. If that's not a problem with the iPad, then that's not going to be a problem with PlayStation 4.
True, but I think are they going for something different? Like you figure, like Peace Walker was a good example, right? Where if you when you pinged a different Wi-Fi hotspot, you could go get new people, right? And recruit new people. So when I would just go to Safeway on the Muni, I'd have my shopping bags, in my pocket rolled up, and then my Go in my pocket, and sit there and just ping it away. Whereas on this one, I'd have to then pack a bag, so I have something to put it back. You know what I mean? But you make a good point that people don't complain about the iPad being big; they get to do it.
Well, and then when they don't want to carry a bag, they literally just carry it around, and I'm assuming people do the same. And plus, I mean, you've got the whole third party to fill those gaps with special
Mad
carriers,
Cats, Mad Cat fanny pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Just think about not only iPad and Galaxy and stuff, but even things like we were talking about Kindle and Nook and. It seems like everything's getting a little bigger and everyone's kind of getting a little more comfortable with everything. It was always about truncation with the size, and now it's kind of like, well. We have the phone, the iPhone that fits in your pocket, but if you want to have a more dynamic experience, you're going to need something a little bigger.
Well, and the world is becoming more kind of okay with man purses, so
that's true too.
Yeah,
European carry-alls.
Yeah, it's
satchels.
Okay, here's the next one here. NGP can expect games from the following series: Killzone, Resistance, Hustle Kings, thank God, Uncharted, Little Big Planet, Call of Duty, and more. Finalized game titles includes Hot Shots Golf Next, Little Deviants, Gravity Days, Reality Fighter, Smart As, and Broken. Support has been promised from developers like Konami, Capcom, Tecmo, Koei. They showed a Dynasty Warriors.
I know.
Who was shocking. Sega, Epic, Grasshopper, IREM, Level 5, Namco Bandai, Ubisoft, 2K, Rockstar, and Activision.
That's
a lot of people.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, I still say the most impressive thing, I think, for Western markets and what's going to drive the original sales of NGP or whatever is going to be the Call of Duty game. If you have a Call of Duty game on 3G that you can just play with other people, that's going to sell millions of copies.
That is insane.
Like, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's huge. And, that's not big in the Japanese market. What's going to be big in the Japanese market is that they have Monster Hunter. So they basically already cultivated 2 series that they know are just going to sell in their respective markets, and I think that's a really impressive thing.
Imagine if that Monster Hunter they got up there and they showed Monster Hunter third, right?
Yeah.
But they said this is the downloadable version of it. If they added in the fact that had online multiplayer rather than ad hoc, right now it's just ad hoc whoever you play with. If you made a lobby system for that so that you could be playing anywhere 3G, yeah, that'd be insane.
I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to do. I mean, if they only have limited resources and they need to either make a new game with ad hoc or just make lobby 3G capabilities for a game they already made, they'll probably do the latter. And that game sold like 3.5 million copies in Japan.
Yeah, Monster Hunter's huge. Yeah.
So, and
I think one of the big turnoffs for it in the States, right, is that you have hardcore pockets of players, but then they have to go out of their way to be with other people to play, and that's a game you want to play multiplayer. So if you could do it, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a Call of Duty fan at all, but I was really blown away by just thinking about it. I'm like, this is insane. You're going to see people playing this fucking game everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'd be surprised if they don't alter that by the time like E3 rolls around to actually incorporate 4G. Because 3G can support like real-time multiplayer in like a Call of Duty scenario, but it's spotty. Like the data connection speed isn't quite up to snuff for that kind of thing. So I think a 4G kind of capability may find its way into that.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
So what about Uncharted? They showed that running.
So awesome.
Not stuff we'd seen before.
No.
It looked like a little bit of it looked. I thought it looked comparable to the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if not
it
a little
looks
bit
like
better.
Drake's Fortune.
Yeah,
I think
and
you're
of
right.
course we're watching it off a camera being translated over the internet. I mean, it's not great in general. The feeds that were available for this thing. So.
I saw some like HD stuff of it actually, the demo just before we started podcasting, and like what blew me away is like the shader effects and stuff like that, the lighting. Similar to what you experienced in the first game is like the way the light hit, kind of the light of the jungle hits Drake's back.
Yeah, filtering through trees.
Yeah. It was 100% on par with the console version. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. The concern I know a lot of people had watching that demo in the office, right, is the fact that there was a lot of goofy controls in there.
Yeah.
I'm flicking the screen to jump. I'm tapping. I'm climbing a rope in the back by alternating my fingers on the back touchpad. My initial response to that is that's just a tech demo for this thing. That they would not be batshit crazy and make their most successful game goofy. You know what I mean?
I don't think so either. And if they do, I think they'll give you the option to not do it.
Well, because all the controls are already there. Like it's not something where you like, for instance, like the iPhone where you have only the touchscreen.
Yeah, you have
You have everything. Like you literally could use anything to do it. And I think they're smart to make it an optional kind of flip on the switch kind of thing.
I hope so. Number 2 here on the Roper Report, Sony announced a new initiative called PlayStation Suite, in which Sony will push their PlayStation brand to Android-compatible mobile devices, as well as their new PSP codenamed the Next Generation Portable. Little else is known right now, except that Sony intends to initially push a slew of PS1 classics through PlayStation Suite, and that it will require Android 2.3 Gingerbread to run. What the hell does any of that mean, Scott?
All right, so another big thing that happened this week prior to the NGP, which kind of got overshadowed by the NGP, was that the PlayStation portable phone, which apparently is being called the Xperia Play, was kind of got like an in-depth hands-on preview by a tech blog, Engadget. And
according to Colin's write-up here, that's the next story.
Oh, sorry.
You have a write-up about it on IGN Gear.
I did.
Yeah, from the Engadget.
Yeah, so basically it kind of echoes like previous, because there's a lot of like hands-on reports coming out of China and stuff like that, and this is the first like seemingly legit version. So it's again kind of it seems to be like it's going to be the first product to actually support PlayStation Suite, which again, kind of a more detailed description is that it's a platform for Android 2.3 devices that'll span like tablets and smartphones. Like, so you'll be able to access PlayStation 1 games, or you can or minis, or whatever kind of new kind of PlayStation certified is what they're calling it. Software on a variety of different devices.
Does this open the door similar to the App Store, where people like you and I could be like, I want to make a game, so we try to get certified or something?
Well, okay. So the certification thing pertains to hardware developers specifically. Like they're like, so if you want to support PlayStation Suite on your Android phone, you have to adhere to a specific standards set by Sony.
Okay.
So like in terms of like what the hardware is packing, like what the software support will be, that sort of thing. So it seems very much like Sony's still keeping their really kind of strict quality assurance standards in place, but so I don't know how extensive the kind of like the app development community will be, or if it'll even support anything other than games, like if they'll actually have like an app element as well.
Gotcha.
But The cool thing is that you, in addition to like all that stuff being pushed out to Android devices, your NGP will have it as well. So you'll be able to download, kind of, if there were to be an app community or an app style game community developed in this, where like you get like all sorts of stuff, like kind of indie developers springing up stuff, you'll be able to access it on your NGP.
Interesting.
So, more on the Xperia phone seemingly soon.
Right? It's off and running. They bought it in China. Is that right? Somebody leaked it off assembly
So, from what
line?
I could tell, the hands-on preview came from Engadget. Like basically, they had a Chinese contact who snagged one off of the assembly line. And
similar to the show 'em the ports.
Yeah, the
PS3.
Yeah, just like the PS3 thing.
Yeah, so it's pretty hilarious. But and I still don't know why they didn't just roll it into the announcement yesterday, because I mean they were talking about how it's going to be going to Android and blah blah blah. I just don't know what they're waiting for.
Yep.
I mean there's talk that it'll be a Mobile World Conference, which is in Barcelona in mid-February, but that's so far out, and I've got a feeling there's going to be like 6 other leaks before then.
Yeah.
So
they're always me by leaks.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Even though they did a good job with this one, kind of, right? Like, we knew a lot of specs, but when me and Scott Lowe were in the office, obviously, late last night, watching all this stuff and listening to it and reading Ryan's awesome live blog, and when they whip out the or whatever, I'm so tired, the NGP, and it's not a slider, I was like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that blew my mind.
I think what was most impressive to me was that there were rumors that Uncharted has been being worked on for a while.
Yeah.
But
and we've been predicting it since last year.
Yeah, exactly. and people have been like, this studio's been working on this game.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying Guerrilla or Insomniac have been working on those games, because they probably actually haven't been working on Killzone, and Resistance are probably farmed out to other people.
Yeah.
But they managed to hide that they were developing a new Little Big Planet, a new Resistance, a new Killzone, a new Wipeout, like all these big games. I'm like, how the hell did they, like, so even though the hardware secrets leaked, and even though people had an inkling that Uncharted was going to be on this thing and stuff, I had when I was reading Ryan's stream or whatever, and he's like, they showed Killzone Resistance. I'm like, what the fuck? Resistance? Really? Like, that's so I was so excited, and that's what everyone was talking about. Even in the piece we wrote, people were doubting everything we were saying technically, which Scott was totally right about everything. And they were saying, like, where are the games? We need games. Who cares how powerful it is? Well, now I think the answer is pretty clear, that there are games. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of promised future development.
Well, and let's not forget Kojima came out and showed off MGS4 running on it. I mean, it wasn't like it was clear to specify that they're not working on a product currently, or they're not ready to discuss whatever it is.
Yeah, he said at E3, that's when he'd make his announcement.
Yeah, but he said, like, the one thing he did specify is that this was like being rendered on the
It's
NGP.
annoying, right? I want to write it down in big letters.
I'm going to call it at PSP2. I don't care what Sony says. So it was running on the PSP2, but it wasn't just a video though. Like, it was actually rendering it. Basically, they took the models and all the in-game assets from the PS3, and he said, like, easily ported it to run this cutscene rendering on the device.
That's what everybody was saying, right? Like, they showed Lost Planet 2, and they were like, and this took a week. This took a week to port.
Yeah.
And granted, it didn't look awesome. But it's a week of a port. Like,
and there's tons of optimization yet to be done.
Totally. Yeah. We let people have their hands on it. Epic was out there doing the same thing.
Yeah, they said, what was that game? They were showing the Defenders. What was it?
I thought that was just an Unreal 3 like tech demo.
Oh, well, they someone showed a game where they said the same thing, like, our guys like brought this to PSP2 or NGP in like a week.
Yeah.
So like, scaling seems to be easy.
Well, and that goes back to what you were saying, Colin, about us like kind of like nailing everything. Like, the one thing that like was seemingly absent was the ubiquity thing, like where you could actually play a game and continue it on the PS3 or vice versa. I think specifically what Kojima said in terms of like what his plans are for it.
Exactly.
It seems like the device is totally capable of that.
Because that's what Kojima said.
Yeah.
He said that was his vision. That being able to play it at your house, leave and play somewhere else. And come back.
Well, considering his games are like 64 hours long.
Yeah, you can like watch the cutscene that's playing while you go to the supermarket.
But so I mean, I think it's really exciting. I think they're still leaving it in the hands of the developers to really kind of embrace that, because honestly, most of the legwork has to be done by them. So it's really just a matter of how much. They can't require developers to do that, because I think it'd just be way too expensive.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of kill the software support, because less people will be inclined to do it. But for somebody like Kojima, who's like, that is his vision, he wants to do that. It seems like the hardware could totally support it, and it's it's really exciting. I think that's gonna really, if not in the first year of it, like next year. Like,
it has to happen right away.
Like no, I think at first you'll have like PS3 quality ports and stuff like that. But then like the ubiquity thing will be filtered in later on down the line of the life cycle of this thing. Because if they do the same thing with this, it's going to be like a lengthy system.
But think of it this way, like especially what Colin's saying, right? If they come out and it's Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 3, right, and it's the PS3 version, and it comes out day and date with the PS3 version, and you can play them back and forth or whatever, or play the single player, or earn something in there that's getting. I mean, I think
your character information stays like your unlocks and all that. That'd be killer, dude.
Not even on your list. We didn't even talk about it. Trophies.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Trophies in there. There's so much to this NGP that we.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it at all, but you saw it on. On
and we were all
area.
like, trophies are on their little live area, and everybody's like, we don't know if that's confirmed. What does that mean exactly? Blah blah. And then the PlayStation blog put trophies confirmed. So I would not in a million years think that Sony would have 2 different versions of trophies. It's the same trophy.
I don't think so either. This is why I think that. I was thinking about this actually when I was in the shower this morning because I knew that we were going to talk about like that question. And one of the things they prefaced the entire conference with was like, PlayStation Network's a great success. We have 69 million unique users or whatever. Now, why would they say that if they were going to then say like, well, we're going to make everyone with a PlayStation Network name make a new name for So obviously, I mean, they haven't said anything about it yet, but I think it's a 100% certainty that your name is going to be the same at both places.
Yeah, especially for it being such a constantly connected device, right? That's the whole thing. And imagine that's a really cool thing for me. I think if this thing is cool as they're saying, constantly connected, so I want it on no matter where I am. That'll be awesome when you're at home, you're on your PS3, and you look at your friends list, and it says, "Oh, Colin's walking around this PS." You know, what I mean, like not that it's geo-tracking you, but it's saying, you're using
it would be cool if there
live
was just
area or something.
Yeah, it would be cool if there's just an icon. If you're on PS3, it would be like their little globe icon or something where it would say like this person's on a PSP, this person's on a or whatever.
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
GP. And and then like and I totally agree. Like I think the for the PlayStation faithful like us that are really excited about the PlayStation platform and PlayStation Network, and we really love it. We're on it all the time. This is just even better. Like that's why I'm really floored by this announcement. Now, obviously, it can come out and be $600 and be fucking ridiculous, and it sucks. But like we don't know that yet. From what we've seen, from what we've heard from Ryan, who has played it, and had it out in his hands, it sounds great. It looks great. It plays great. It feels great. I mean, it has trophies.
Yeah. Well, the thing that like has kind of floored me in terms of like the response of like fans and the gamer community like on Twitter and even in the IGN comment sections, like that sort of thing, is just that people are really pissed for some reason that there's a lot of ports being displayed.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Mark Ryan, what do we always call him now?
Guides Overlord.
Guides Overlord, sure.
Yeah.
And he was tweeting last night, I want to play short games on my PSP. I want to play portable games.
Yeah, like I just don't understand it because I mean, like I has actually gone through multiple like drafts of a single tweet trying to encompass all this thought. But basically, I'm like, first people complain that there's not enough software support on the PSP, and then Sony covers their asses by making the platform super easy to develop for, so that people could just take PS3 games and make them portable. And then they expand the platform to include PlayStation Suite, where you can have new digital distribution coming in, new developers getting in on it that would otherwise be wary of it because it's only one device, whereas now it could theoretically span like multiple Android devices. So all the more encouragement in the world for developers to do it. And so it's almost guaranteed to have a robust software support system. And people are still complaining. They're like, oh, I don't want to play ports. It's like, then what do you want to play?
People say that, right? And how many people are playing their PSP right now? Mark Ryan doesn't play a PSP every day. You know what I mean? He's not playing Angry Birds on it. It's not like he's out there playing Patapon. Like
that's the thing I was telling him too. Is like I came in. We were going. Everyone was going back and forth on Twitter last night. And
it was exciting time.
And then but I was saying to him, I'm like, first of all, I understand the anti-port argument, except for the fact that like, what does that really mean? Because this looks like it's going to be a new Uncharted game. It looks like it's going to be a new Killzone game. It looks like it's going to be a new Resistance game. So these aren't ports. They're just series that were on PlayStation
based on AAA franchises.
Exactly. So it's not like, and that's what I was telling him. Like someone walks in, sees a PSP 2 or an X,
just whatever
PSP 2 for $300 or $400, and they're like, all right, cool. What games are on it? And then they see fucking Zongle Bongle, the Mystery Boy, or something on the shelf, and they're like, what the or they see Killzone, Resistance, Uncharted, Little Big Planet, things they know and love. Plus, and I was telling him, I'm like, and I walked in and told him today, I'm like, that Call of Duty thing is the biggest coup that they have right now. I'm telling you, that's huge. And he's like, I don't want to play Call of Duty. And I'm like, you don't want to play Call of Duty. And most people do want to play Call of Duty, and they want to play it on a PSP 2. They don't want to play a 10-minute game. They want to sit on their couch, or they want to sit on, they have to be at home, or they have to be on the train or whatever. They're going to play it, So I think the software library speaks for itself. who cares if we have Uncharted on PS3 because we're getting a new Uncharted game on PSP2.
Well, and I think it has every capacity to fail. Obviously, there is a.
We're not signing off on this.
Yeah, it's ultimately in the hands of developers to really take it and run with it. But as far as Sony's concerned, like I said, they totally have all of their bases covered. They have it they have every capacity to create an awesome software platform. And I don't know. I'm pumped about the idea of playing PlayStation 3 quality games on a portable.
Yeah, I am too. How can you not be?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. There's just, it's like, what is it, Gold member in Austin Powers? There is no pleasing you. Because it's you just complain about, you could, like you just said, you summed it up nicely. It's you complain about X, Y, and Z, they cover X, Y, and Z, and then you complain about A, B, C.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, is everyone who would otherwise go out buy a 3DS gonna buy a PSP2 or NGP? No. This isn't going to be they aren't going to sell ridiculous amounts of these things initially, and I think Sony knows that. This is hardcore gamers platform. This is definitely not, hey mommy, I want a 3DS kind of product. It's definitely something that appeals to a very specific audience, and I think that people thinking that is somehow the bar is just kind of shovelware products where it's everybody, it's accessible for everybody. There's a market for that, but there's also a market for the PSP2.
Totally.
I actually want to. We have Scott here, so we should take advantage of it. What I'm most
I
interested.
want to take advantage of him in other ways.
What I'm interested in, because Scott really will have the best insight on this, is how does this affect a few things? This announcement. We don't know much about it yet. We know the technical details of it, but how does it affect 3DS? How does it affect Windows Phone? And then how does it affect iPhone and iPad? Because obviously they're trying, by getting in with Android, first of all, they're trying to compete directly with Apple now, and obviously this has big implications for 3DS, I think, too. So, especially probably over in Japan.
Well, I think of the gaming handhelds between the 3DS, Nintendo's efforts and Sony's efforts, I think, this is obviously the biggest stab at Apple. We're taking this to multiple devices. We're, opening the doors to more creative, kind of developers and that sort of thing. And we're, basically expanding the medium to encompass multiple devices. So it's certainly going to impact and as far as, I don't think they're going to compete with the iPhone, but I think they're going to give them a run for their money. That's sort of, it's I don't think their aim is to take down the iPhone. I just think that they're in long-term preservation is concerned, this is a really kind of smart strategy on their behalf. Right. And I think, Windows Phone 7 isn't much of a threat because, the way Microsoft has approached that gaming platform as far as cross-integration with Xbox Live, they're really dragging their feet with it. I think they're kind of just dipping their toes in to see how many people actually buy a Windows Phone 7 and then possibly expanding that feature. But basically Sony's just punched them in the face. It's we took that idea and we made it awesome. So I don't know. Theoretically, it could be great, but so we're actually gonna break down the real technical specifications, specifications of the device as far as how powerful it is compared to other devices. Obviously, there's a lot of information not being revealed, how much RAM it has, what the clocking speed is, and all that. But
battery life too, right?
And that's the other thing.
I'm terrified of that.
Yeah.
That's my thing, right? Is that people are bitching about not having portable games. As somebody who has to fly all the time, I would kill for an Uncharted. I always think of an RPG too, a really good, I'm picky about my RPGs. I know there's a lot of JRPGs and stuff on PSP as normal, right? But I like Western ones, Mass Effect, Fallout. To get something like that where I could be in an airport for 2 hours, on a plane for 2 hours, and then in a hotel room, have that PS3 experience, that deep story, something that's engaging, would be awesome. My fear is it runs for 2 hours. You know what I mean? I'm in the airport, plugged into the wall, sitting on the floor, and then I got to get on the plane, and it's almost dead by the time I land.
Well, is that a rational fear though? Because I agree, but from what I've been reading, I don't know anything. Everyone knows I'm not technical at all. But I was reading that the OLED screen or whatever is actually helps it save power, right?
Yeah, so OLED is energy efficient. It's more so than LED. So obviously it's hard to say exactly how much it could possibly save, but it is also, you also have to consider the quad core processor in this thing. This thing is a processing beast. It blows away anything on the market right now, whether it be a tablet or a smartphone. The smartphone thing right now is they're all talking about dual core processors. This thing has a quad core processor. And it has a dedicated GPU.
What
So
the
this
fuck
thing,
does that mean?
Huh?
Boil it down in like a basic.
So it's going to be fast. It's going to, as we've seen, it's going to produce freaking amazing graphics. But it also consumes a shit ton of memory, of energy. So I mean, it's they haven't talked about battery life, but I've got to imagine it's going to be a big issue, especially with 3G connectivity.
Yeah,
if you leave your iPhone on 3G, like it totally kills your battery. Like if you turn it to just like edge network, it's fine, but like that kind of data speed and constantly being connected will definitely kill it, same as Wi-Fi does. So I mean, they've got a big hurdle to overcome, but I don't imagine they would pack this many features into this without having some sort of game plan.
Yeah, it would be really ridiculous if they're like, look at our great system, it runs for 90 minutes.
It's a game here.
Yeah.
Feed it 6 AA batteries and see what happens.
Well, and this also comes on the heels of the and obviously this is a PlayStation podcast, but it's kind of relevant. But the 3DS got a battery life has been taking some pretty crazy abuse at the moment because they found that simply using the 3D feature, it kills the battery by 25% as compared to when it's off. Mm-hmm. So the 3DS has a max battery life of 5 hours, and that's optimum. Like not running 3D, backlight turned all the way down. Like it's
wow.
So and
that's
I don't
pretty
even,
rough.
And probably Wi-Fi and all that turned off. So most experiences are going to be 3.5 to 4 hours. So if Sony can do better than that, then I think they're golden.
I honestly don't think they can. I think it's right there too, based on what they're doing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. If they
depending on the game you're playing and what.
Depending on the game, but also they haven't really talked about what they're doing with the battery. Well,
they haven't talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This was a very much here's the new baby. No idea when she's coming, how much she'll cost, no games. That's really what we got last night, right? Like, it's going to have 3G, no talk of what that means, if I have to get a contract, if it's free.
But by going to a Flash-based format, the way, looking at that hardware as big as it is, probably half of it could be a whole battery for all we know. Like the internal battery.
That would be awesome. If they came out and said this thing is a 20-hour battery, I'd be like, oh!
the bulk of the actual framework could actually be the battery. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, it'd be heavy as shit, but it would run.
Yeah, but I don't mind it being heavy. You know what I mean? I know I'm the guy who's just bitching about not fitting in his pocket, but that is just a cosmetic concern. I always have a messenger bag too, so for me it wouldn't be a big deal. Well,
and if it's for something where again you get that type of experience, you'd take a bag around just to have it with you. Yeah. It's like if you're gonna use it, it's like hell yeah.
But my fears are as follows: price, how expensive 3G will be, and how that works, battery life, and then having to carry around these damn flash cards.
Yeah.
If I have to carry around if I can't just rip the damn thing, I got spoiled with the Go, Colin. I like what the Go does.
I've lost DS cartridges, multiple DS cartridges. I don't know where I don't know where 2 of my Professor Layton cartridges are. I don't know. So I understand what you're saying. Those things are easy to lose. They're kind of I don't want to say cumbersome because they're tiny, but they're annoying, and I agree. But at the same time, I think Scott's got the right idea that these games will be probably all available to download.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at Sony's other business models like Blu-ray, Sony has really been pushing the digital copy thing. So you get the Blu-ray, but you also get a data disc that you can put in your computer,
totally.
and with a special code, get the whole movie on any number of mobile devices. So I think it would be counter or completely disjointed if they were to do the same thing with the games, or not do the same thing with the games.
Your install makes sense, right? That if you were just to say, hey, I bought it in store, install it to my thing, put it away, then I delete the game, and then 6 months later I want to play it again, I pull it off my shelf and reinstall.
Well, if you think about the PSP Go's PC manager, basically if you have an iTunes system where you sync, you can take games on and off. It's fairly effective to run. I thought that software was really effective. So I think if they continued to just push that and refine that, I think it'd totally work to just rely entirely on kind of digital versions, but you can actually again buy the hard copy.
Okay. I like what you're pitching me.
Yeah.
We have listener mail that's all about where did I write it down? NGP. So let's get through the rest of the Roper Report that's non-NGP related.
Okay.
Number 4 on Colin's Roper Report. If rumors from the LA Times are to be believed, Modern Warfare 3 is being primed for a release this fall. According to the rumors, Activision has Sledgehammer Games working on the single player, along with a gutted Infinity Ward. Depressingly, God, I'm tired. Depressingly, these same rumors state that the best first-person developer in the world, Raven Software, is working on the multiplayer aspect of the game, officially making them a bro shooter developer. How does that make you feel? Raven's getting some
It
work,
was
huh?
devastating. Well, I think it's good for them as far as like getting their name out there and stuff. But then hopefully they'll make some money and then they can make Singularity 2.
It's not happening. They're not making Singularity 2. Stop it. Number 5. Some interesting Killzone 3 news. The game comes out on February 22nd, but running February 2 through 14, gamers can download a new beta and play all the multiplayer modes on the Frozen Dam level. If you're more interested in the single-player experience, a single-player demo is coming February 15th. PlayStation Plus members will have early access to it on February 8th.
Yeah.
What's that doing for you, Colin? Does that make your noodle
I'm
wiggle?
not excited about Killzone, but I know that a lot of people definitely are. That game's very big.
I really like the multiplayer beta. I'm excited to play more multiplayer in that game.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I don't really even care about the multiplayer. Like when I played for the first time a few months ago multiplayer Killzone 2. So I like the single player campaign, and that's what I'm most excited about. And I heard the controllers are nice and crisp. So
I like them. I've been playing.
Well, and you get to go hell again.
Once you go Helgen, you never go back. What do you mean in the single player or in online? Or what are you talking about?
Well, both, right? You can play on the planet Helgen.
Oh yeah, you play on the planet. Yeah. You're still on the planet Helgen.
It's so pretty.
You're escaping now from it, right? Is that what it is? Because
You're
the second
trapped
one
on it.
takes
Yeah.
place on it. But
Exactly.
Then
This one picks up
right.
right after the second one, so
Okay.
you're still on Helgen, and then as spoilers, if you haven't read any Killzone coverage, you're on Helgen still some more.
Sorry.
No, whatever. Don't worry. We ruin everything for everybody.
Yeah. Everything for everybody.
That's a podcast tagline.
Yeah.
We're getting away from conversational podcast too. We ruin everything for everyone. Number 6, Platinum Games, the mind behind Bayonetta and Vanquish, are prepping a new multi-platform online combat game called Max Anarchy. It'll be released this fall. We just put up a trailer for it.
Cool.
Teaser trailer. I did not get a chance to watch it, so.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I didn't play Bayonetta. I know Clemens really loves it.
You loved Vanquish.
I loved Vanquish. It was so good. So I'm gonna. I think that was an amazing game. If you haven't played that game,
I still need to play it.
very good game.
EA has confirmed that the single-player DLC is forthcoming for Dead Space 2. It's called Severed. No release date has been revealed. Dead Space 2. Good game.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Rockstar's long-awaited LA Noire now has a release date. It will drop May 17th in North America and May 20th in Europe.
Looking forward to that.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Delayed.
The game's been developed for 6 years, so we'll see.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cool idea.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Oh, no, totally.
I'm excited about it. Rockstar is very good.
The facial animation is just insane. You guys watch that behind the tech video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks weird.
Everybody
I think
should check
looks a
it out.
little
Well, it's a little weird, but like as far as like pushing the format forward.
Yeah, doing something different, sure.
Yeah.
The Mortal Kombat reboot has a release date. It's going to be released April 18th in Europe, April 19th in North America. That game, I'm not a huge fighter fan. I do enjoy the occasional Mortal Kombat for its brutality. We just put up a exclusive behind-the-scenes X-ray trailer today. Those moves are awesome.
Yeah.
I really like those. Crushing skulls, stabbing people through the face, seeing it all.
I can't get into Mortal Kombat, but I'm gonna give this one a go.
You too peaceful? Is that your problem?
No, I just it's always. You've always compared it to Street Fighter for 20 years now, and it's like Street Fighter games were always just much better, you know. So
yeah,
it's
but
like,
these are more entertaining, I think, and I know I just pissed off every listener out there probably, but like
you ruin everything for everyone.
I'm a super casual fighting fan, so I enjoy the blood and like the fatalities, and then
I'm the same way.
Whereas
Yeah.
Street Fighter's so nuanced, you know what I mean? There's
Right.
so much going on.
If I step into a Street Fighter match with anybody other than me, I just basically get stomped. Like it could be any number of people completely inexperienced. I'm just not good at it. So like something like Mortal Kombat, where it's actually kind of manageable and again, it's got a real entertaining value. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. So
Gotcha.
Get over here.
yeah.
Number 10. We reported on the Heavy Rain movie rumors some time ago, but now Variety reports that the film has been fast-tracked towards production. Deadwood executive producer David Milch has reportedly signed on to the film to help it get going. Hey, all right.
Yeah, I don't
Come
know,
on,
I don't
man.
even
We
know
make
why
games for a reason. I don't want to
Yeah,
watch
and
other games.
that next to Uncharted is pretty much the only other game I can think of that was literally like a movie in a game form.
Yeah, right.
Like I mean, you don't really need to do much to it. Maybe take out some of the weird like kind of French Canadian stuff, but like
Yeah, like the weird voice acting.
yeah, the voice acting. Yeah.
Jason.
But it's just weird to me. Like Quantic Dream was very clear that like we're not doing another Heavy Rain game. Like we're doing something else. That's it.
Yeah.
But then like, but we'll do a movie.
Well, they don't have any say in that, really.
I
do
know.
they?
I guess
Yeah.
it's Sony, but it's just like it seems like like you would think that like Sony would say like Heavy Rain's kind of like a sacred game for a lot of people. Just in fact that like it's
They're
not.
a company, Colin.
I know, but it's like it's like you know it's like a piece of art. You know, it's like something you don't mess with. It would be like making a game out of like the Shadow of the Colossus or something.
The argument is that no matter how shitty a movie ever is, right, people watch it and people like it. And so that
Yeah.
small percentage you go, oh, that was cool. Then they find, oh, it's based on a game. Maybe I'll play that. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We will.
Jesus Christ. Go
Yeah.
to bed.
Okay.
But that game in particular was just like drawing from so many different movies, like as like the Bone Collector and like like kind of like what is it, Seven and all that. So
Yeah.
I agree.
it's ridiculous.
Colin,
Yeah.
your least favorable name was the political powerhouse with a terrible 3.5% of the vote.
Okay.
Here's a political story that I think has a political spin from Colin Moriarty. Number 11, final Roper Report story. If left-wing Congressman Joe Baca of California gets his way, ESRB ratings of T or higher will require a health warning label on the front of the game box as well. The Video Game Health Act of 2011 will require boxes to be released with warnings like the following. Warning. Excessive exposure to violent video games and other violent media has been linked to aggressive behavior. The bill was originally introduced in 2009 and never made it out of committee in a liberal-controlled House of Representatives. So you can bet this one isn't going anywhere now.
That is such bullshit, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for every study that says is linked to aggressive behavior, there's another one that says it's not.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, all right. So this is the argument I have. Like, you don't even have to get into the sociology of it. You don't have to get into the pathos of the people that do these kinds of things. All you have to do is look at a very simple fact. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people play games. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people watch really violent shit on TV and movies all the time.
Yeah.
They're okay. So if one or two people are killing someone, it's like the Columbine thing where they kind of tried to, like, they were obsessed with Counter-Strike or whatever and like doing like Quake mods and stuff like that. That seemed to be more of a coincidence than the fact that
That gave them their murder simulator.
Because like how many people did Quake mods? How many people played Counter-Strike? It's millions of people, you know? So I just feel like they find these like correlations that are really bizarre that really don't stand up to any sort of scientific scrutiny or even logic.
Well, and I mean, if you even take a look at these people who do these things, like their gaming habit is one very small, specific, thing that it impacts, very little of their actual psyche. If you look at like their other experiences in their lives, like they have like a terrible childhood, or they they killed cats when they were little. I mean, like that is much more of a signifier of like a pre-existing problem than hey, he played Quake. Like it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's silly. I agree, and that's why that just bothers me because it's not a left wing or right wing issue. It's like it's just logic. You know, it's just like where does it end, and where did people start taking some personal responsibility for things instead of blaming like all the ills of society on all these certain things? It's just ridiculous. Because I can't use myself as an example because I'm only one person. But when I grew up and I was like, I played violent video games and I loved all this violent shit on TV and stuff. And then I was like, I met a lot of people like you guys that grew up in the same way. We're all fine.
I murdered a bunch of people.
It's just, it's just a little strange to say like, 1 in a million people that really loved Call of Duty go and kill someone. So video games are bad.
And you're absolutely right. It's not a left or a right thing because on both sides of the spectrum, there are people complaining about this. Like it really is not at all related to one political, side of the field.
Yeah, I agree. And the political thing and that was just to say that he's a Democrat, and the Democrats controlled the committees, obviously, when they controlled the House, and it never got out of committee, so it was never even voted on. So now that the House is controlled by Republicans, it's certainly not going to get out of committee.
Well, why are politics such a waste of time, Colin? Nothing ever happens.
Yeah, it's true. Well,
it's all posturing. I don't trust. You can't. They all get on their high horse about these marital affairs. Then they all have them.
Yep.
Yeah, our system is our bicameral system is like it doesn't allow things to happen quickly, but that's the idea.
Time out too. Heads up, readers. I brought this discussion on.
Don't
bitch at Colin. This is a real Greg Miller tired question of why everything's so fucked up.
No,
in
it's
America.
it's true. It's like the idea was you guys can look it up, but Jefferson and the readers can. But Jefferson and Washington had a really interesting conversation about the bicameral legislature and how like everything gets done in the House, nothing gets done in the Senate, and how it's like about hot tea and then you let it cool off or whatever in the Senate. And so that was kind of the idea. Things get the health, like Obamacare was overruled and in the House, and then it gets to the Senate and nothing happens. So like that's just the way it's always been, and I think it's actually a good thing most of the time, unless there's like a crisis that we really need to deal with.
Yeah,
because you don't want
bailing out a bunch of fat cats on Wall Street.
Yeah, we did that real quick.
No reason
in a weekend.
No.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But that was the idea, and maybe it's not very timely in like a modern society, but that was like in an agrarian 18th century society.
I just wish most politicians weren't trying to be actors. They're all like getting up there with their voices and their speeches. Just be normal people. Be a conversational podcast when you talk about.
I agree, dude. Straight up, like I talk about how I want to run for the House sometimes, or whatever. And I would be not that I would win or whatever, but I would go to. First of all, I go to Washington and I would wear jeans and a t-shirt, and I would go vote. and talk to people in a jeans and a t-shirt, and or like when I talk about the president has like his spokesman that talks to him every day, I would just talk to the people, be like, well, what do you guys want to know? I'd come out in like a bathrobe, and you're the president of the people. So I totally agree with you. There's a lot of like nothing spontaneous and nothing is
pandering.
It's just pandering and posturing, and it's all about money, and that's a sad thing.
Upsetting.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Colin, I want to play some games. Sadly, the NDP GPTS PSP2 is not out yet, so I can't play anything on it. Where could I go to find out what came out this week so I can play it?
You go to the official list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms. Find the iGenerators. For some reason, I have. I guess I wrote this down because I thought we were going to discuss it, but just as an aside, real quick before I forget.
Conversational podcast. We're 49 minutes into the show. We're on to topic 2. So.
Yeah. Everyone's been talking about, like, in a lot of the comments, been like, PSP 2 is going to fail and it's going to suck. And
remember, Pactor made that big deal. PSP 2 dead on arrival.
Yeah,
that was his
idiot.
thing.
First of all, it's definitely going to do at least marginally well. I think that's pretty clear, unless it's like $500. But I wrote down this number: 63 million PSPs. That's how many PSPs have been sold to date. Now, everyone's saying that like the DS and the GBA clobbered the PSP, and it's well, yeah, they sold much more, but 63 million
is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, it's nothing to scoff. That's more than PlayStation 3. That's more than Xbox 360. That's almost as much as Wii. So.
Exactly. It's like, dude, like it's not going to be like just stop comparing it to Nintendo.
Yeah, I agree.
Nintendo makes a very specific product
for an audience that's very broad.
Wide, yeah. I mean, this again, just shut up with that stuff.
And I'm sure if Sony looks at this and they're like, if we can sell 63 million PSP2s, we'll be very happy. Yeah. So let's lose that because it doesn't have context and you sound stupid. Okay. So for new games, PS3, Dead Space 2, which you liked very much.
I did 9.0.
And Two Worlds 2, which I don't think we have a review of yet.
No, I think Arthur's working on it, but I have heard mixed opinions about that game.
And so I've
never heard anyone. Well, yeah.
Some people have been being impatient about that review. I know not being up yet. It's a very long game as far as I understand. So
Arthur's thorough.
Yeah, you got to be thorough. What do you want us to just half-ass? That's not what
it's another thing. Yeah, you're up too quick. You're up too late. Nobody's happy.
Yeah. They complain about XYZ. You fix it. Yeah. They complain about ABC.
There you go.
Again, PSP Lord of Arcana is out. Sounds like a Ryan Clements game.
Yeah, we've had a lot of trailers up on it. So that would be my input on that.
Yeah, so we have
go watch some trailers.
We have some trailers. I imagine we'll get a review of that sometime.
Yeah.
And the only Clements isn't here to do PSN games for Zombie Blogneck, but I can tell you the only new game that came out is Dead Space Extraction. It's $15, but if you have Dead Space 2, you get it for free.
Right now, remember. That's a limited edition. Eventually, they are going to make press copies of the PS3 edition that do not have Extraction.
Right.
This has been a question a lot of people have had forever. Remember, we get this question just about every week on Beyond. Yesterday, we recorded the Dead Space 2 podcast, which is a special one-off that you should download and listen to after you beat it. However, on that show, Steve from EA and Visceral said specifically, right now, if you go out and buy it on PS3, you get Extraction for free on the disc. However, one day, when those copies are all gone and they rerun them, there will be PS3 versions without Extraction.
Okay. Why do people care?
What do you mean?
Why do people care that that's on the disc if it's free?
It's free. Oh, because that's how you get it.
In other words, they're worried that if you're not quick enough, you won't get. We want to stipulate that it won't always be free, and then you'll have eventually.
One day, you could buy the game and not get it for free.
I thought you were saying that people were complaining that it was on the disc.
Oh no!
I was like, what?
No, it's
as a standalone.
Yeah,
I gave it a 7.5.
So you reviewed it.
Yeah, because now that it's for sale on its own, it's like, oh, I should review it. It's a really fun game. There's some pacing issues. I thought it gets slow at points. It doesn't look great. It looks better than the Wii, obviously, but it's still not a caliber PS3 version. However, it's only $15. There's 10 story chapters, a whole bunch of shooting galleries. I think it's a really solid thing. For my money, it's the best use of the PlayStation Move yet. Like, I know iPad got a higher score than it, but I would obviously be more inclined to play Dead Space Extraction than iPad.
Answer me this, Greg Miller.
Yeah.
Dead Space Extraction Connect. Is it happening?
Ooh, I don't know.
Just karate chopping in the air to get
karate chopping the Necromorph's arms off. That's basically it. No PS1 games, no other game other than Dead Space Extraction. Not really any interesting DLC. It was actually kind of a weak week. Also, no PlayStation Plus update, although I thought that it was supposed to refresh this week. I guess it does next week. Because I read somewhere that I said Critter Crunch last time, but that's not true. Digger HD was supposed to be free, but I read that on the blog, but I guess it's
been kind of a crazy week here.
Yeah.
So lots of stuff happening. But
so that's
pick of the week. Pretty clearly, Dead Space 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You've been playing it a bit, right? Or
I
you
played
had.
through. I did a few weeks ago. I played through chapter
Didn't hook
6.
you? Didn't do it for
Oh no, it did. It just I have to bring the debug home, and then I tried to transfer my saves, and I did, but then
you need a retail copy, and you don't have.
Yeah, well, then I had a retail copy, but then I had the saves on an effing drive that was like corrupted, so I couldn't transfer my shit over, and then blah blah blah. But I synced my trophies, so that's all that matters.
I agree.
Yeah, great game.
I've been playing it on
Fantastic.
PC, but that's pretty much
That
the same.
doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah, great game. All right, great.
Yeah.
We've already been in topic of the week here. We're knee deep in topic of the week. It's called the NGPT 212. That's the topic.
Oh, Greg, real quick, before I forget.
What do you got for me?
Before we go back to the
What do you-
rear mount stuff,
what do you got?
I just want to say I'm impressed by this 11 for 11 or whatever deal that PSN's going on.
Oh, right,
now.
yeah.
And I wanted to call it out just because it's not like bullshit sales. Like they've been pushing like top
Costume
gun.
Quest is on there. You
Yeah.
can buy Costume Quest super cheap right now.
Yeah, Costume
Buy
Quest,
Costume
like Death
Quest.
Spank 2 and Shatter. So I bought.
Explain to him what it is. 11 for 11.
Yeah, so it's like this PSN deal, limited time, where basically 11 critically acclaimed games are half off or whatever. So I spent $20 and got Comet Crash, Death Spank 2, Peggle, which I never played before, which
Peggle's
is
great.
really fun, and Swords and Soldiers. So four
Swords and
games.
Soldiers is great.
So 4 games I never had for $20. Not a bad deal. So I just wanted to call it out. If you guys are looking for a good PSN game, these aren't like frivolous, dumb
Yeah, these are
discounts.
really
These are
good
actually
things.
pretty good games.
They're doing it with good games.
The only game on there that we didn't give a good review to, I think, don't hold me to this, but I think is the Tumble game.
Oh yeah, Tumble got a terrible review. However, it wasn't at all reflected around the net, as I say, a lot of the internet. The whole bunch of people, weren't as rough on it as we were. But so if you really trust Jack DeVries, who I do, I would say
Yeah, I
trust
trust
him.
him
He wasn't happy with the move control.
Yeah, I was gonna buy it, then I was like, oh, he didn't like it, and Jax knows his games.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to call that out real quick before we.
All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit more NGP, but let's try to answer some questions people have.
Sure.
I think we've touched on some of these, so we're going to get around here. But Tony asks, I just touched the thing on the Mac. Everything's still good.
Okay.
Don't panic.
Yeah, don't.
Do not panic.
By the thing, you mean the mouse?
Yeah. God, it's so disgusting. Everything in this room is so disgusting. One day we should clean it, but that'll never happen.
We shouldn't clean it. It should just be kept clean because people are responsible for the things they bring in here. And
True. Anyways, Tony says, what will happen to the UMD games I currently own? I assume PSP2 will be backwards compatible for all of them, but obviously it won't play UMDs. Do you think Sony will have a plan for UMD owners to download them for a free or nominal fee?
No.
No, Tony, it's over, bud.
They screwed the pooch on the PSP Go.
Yeah, if they couldn't pull it together for the Go,
Yeah, they're
it's
not-
over.
definitely not gonna
This is
do
a
that.
new platform. It's a new thing.
Well, I have a theory though.
Oh God, here we go.
Not necessarily first party, but it would be interesting, and I'm sure it could be locked out with some easy firmware or whatever. But it would be interesting to see if a third party tries to make some sort of device that lets you rip your UMDs onto the memory of the PSP2 or whatever.
Or to your PC.
Yeah, or to your PC or something like
Use
that.
the Go manager.
We've heard that before. That was their big thing. I remember when they were talking about the Go.
The Go. I don't know. It just
Nobody ever did it.
That seems like a pretty big complaint. I mean, I'm a little confused. I was talking to Anthony before about it. And I'm like, if you get your PSP2, the thing you're most interested in is playing a fucking 5-year-old game.
No,
Don't
but I
you
mean,
wanna-
like
don't
you're
you-
Clements and you're insane about Dissidia, or you're me and you love Patapon, or Valkyria. I mean, there's a lot of.
Or
there's a-
simply the fact that you have a massive UMD library.
Yeah,
and
just
you
play it
don't
on your
want to.
PSP.
Yeah.
But I guess the games I just said are except. Yeah, they're all downloadable. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
but-
just re-download Valkyria.
But either way, it's
copy my
like
save.
I just think it's a silly gripe. Just because if I want to play Simon's Quest or something like that, I'll play it on the NES. Because that's where it lives. So if you want to play a PSP game, play it on your PSP.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not
the
a big
same thing
deal.
with the PS3, like in the lack of backward compatibility on PSP2 or PS2 titles. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like they're just not they're not interested in that anymore. It seems like. So.
Scott Lowe.
Yeah.
You cover a lot of hardware launches as the gear god. Joseph2411 asks, so obviously the new PSP2 NGP will not be called PSP2 as they would have announced it with that name by now. But are they sticking with NGP? What is the reason behind this?
I don't know. I feel like they may actually pull the PSP2 out again. I think basically what they're trying to do is really start fresh with this thing, because I mean, as you can tell with the Android kind of expansion, that they're trying to open this up to a wider audience, but still maintaining the core hardcore community. So I've got a feeling they're trying to think of something new and fresh in terms of the name. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back to the PSP2.
I kind of agree. I think PSP2 is not possible, but I think the reason they did this personally is because they're going to call it PlayStation something. Like
the
not
screen
necessarily
says
PSP.
PlayStation.
Yeah, so I think it's just going to be like PlayStation, whatever. Like whatever.
NGP.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like maybe 1 or 2 syllable word.
Yeah.
PlayStation Astro or something. Something like that. Like that's like not. I even though PSP, like we just talked about, it was a success. hardware-wise, whatever. I do agree that they kind of want to move into some
right.
new-
Yeah, they
They're
want to get
ditching
away
the-
from that name.
Yeah.
The acronym, yeah.
Because how many people, oh, PSP has no games. Oh, I mean, like, as much as people love the PSP, there's a lot of people who have maybe misguided opinions on what it actually
Well,
is.
they realize that the word PlayStation is their strongest,
Totally,
kind
too,
of
yeah,
brand.
right,
It's like,
yeah.
just go with that, like, instead of, abbreviating it, kind of thing.
All right. Zesler says, why do you think that Sony went for the original PSP look instead of the sliding screen, similar to the Go? That's what I want to know, Scott.
I'm not convinced that it actually will be the sole SKU. I think there may actually be a slider style.
Oh no, they can't do that right away.
Well,
That's got to be their year out redesign.
So as Colin said, we kind of nailed everything in terms of like the pre-release rumors, with exception of the slider. And when that happened, I went to my contact who fed me all this information. I was like, "What the fuck?" like you told you said this was a slider, and they reiterated that every dev kit is a slider. Like it is not the actual kind of the standard design we're looking at now.
Yeah.
So and if you take the information they have here, like that the size and dimensions of it are tentative, it seems like they're definitely exploring a number of different options. It may not be something we see this year. It might be something we'll see like early next year, but
Yeah.
I think a slider is certainly a possibility.
I like sliders. I think they're slick. I like how my PSP Go looks. That would be fun to play certain games touchscreen like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, so I would expect, that not necessarily this year again, but like next year I could easily see it becoming a slider.
Okay. Friend of the show, mdog2438 writes in, just like you can, to beyond@ign.com. Do you guys think the 6-axis in the NGP will be better or be used better in games than it was in the PS3?
I can only hope so.
Jesus Christ,
It was honestly surprising. Not only like I understand like you want to maybe have like a gyro in there and you can, but to call it 6-axis was really like, because they did refer to it as 6-axis, right? That's really surprising to me because 6-axis is widely panned as being like a failure, and they don't even release DualShock 6-axis now. It's not like the really light, almost like you're playing with a fake controller 6-axis. So you remember that, like how light that controller was?
I have one in my cabinet. If I pick it up, I'm like, oh, I know.
Yeah, Bromley has a few, like when I have friends over and we play, and I'm like, these things suck. Like they're just so light, and so I'm I totally understand where they're going for, and they want to do something like you do with the iPhone or iPad or whatever, but calling it 6-axis is bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, Sony's never been really great with their terminology for stuff. I mean, like they definitely want to make everything very specific to like them. So I don't know. I think what they'll really kind of do is change people's perspectives in terms of like the way you kind of use it to in some of the tech demos, like where you can actually move the controller around and explore the game world. So like
Invisimals.
Exactly. So
Front face. We didn't even talk about cameras. Front and face.
Yeah, so it's got a front and rear
cameras.
facing camera. So you could do augmented reality applications. You could do video conferencing, Skyping.
Yeah.
So we can
for where we would play DC Universe Online.
I hope they bring back the boomerang controller now, too. Since
That never even came out, Colin.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it supports Bluetooth too, so it could have a whole number of different add-on devices. So.
Yeah. All right. Gordon says, now that the PSP 2 is official, what are the chances that we get to play Little Big Planet 2 at the house, start creating, go to work, finish creating, come home, re-upload? I don't know. It all starts to break down when you talk about complicated games that are already out. I don't know. We know nothing about the Little Big Planet they showed there, except that it looked a lot like Little Big Planet 2. Like the 2 seconds I saw of it was a race that looked just like one of the ones in Little Big Planet 2. So if they were being developed at the same time, sure, maybe that's a tie-in. But I think like you look forward with like Konami, where they're like planning their games and they're saying transfer back and forth.
Well, I mean the technology definitely supports it. Like you could do like with a simple through the digital platform and just patch or update Little Big Planet 2 on the PS3 to actually support that kind of thing. But more often than not, I would expect them to take the concept, wait for Little Big Planet 3, and make that a huge selling point. It's like, well, now you could do like with this game, you can do it, rather than hey, now you can do it with this game that you already bought. Like, I mean, it all comes down to the money.
Yeah, I agree. And if Kojima was developing Little Big Planet, that would be the reality. But
I don't even want to know what his Little Big Planet.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, when Kojima did come out, I fully expected that he was going to say Metal Gear Solid 5 was going to be on this platform.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Peace Walker with trophies and.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was like,
connectivity.
because I feel like if they really wanted to get in on the hardcore audience and like really convince them that this is what they want, they'll be like, well, you can only play Metal Gear Solid 5 on this.
Yeah.
E3 maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he says he's doing something at E3. Who knows what?
Yeah, and he says
he's been a big supporter of PSP.
Right.
If you did not play Peace Walker, you are batshit crazy. That game is awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a little. It was weird for me to just play a PSP game because I haven't done it in such a long time. But and his studio's been hiring for the new Metal Gear game. I think so.
Zane writes in. He's one of the final 3 questions of Podcast Beyond episode 172. That OLED screen will be impossible to see anything in direct sunlight. Bummer for those people who want to play it outside. Sad. Is that true, Scotlo?
I don't know if impossible is the right word,
but it'll be tough like the other
OLED
ones?
does have it. I mean, we saw it with the Zune HD. Like it doesn't, while it's like so gorgeous and like optimal lighting. If you go out in like direct sunlight, it definitely loses a lot of the ability to see what's on the screen.
And that's something that's been happening with PSPs for forever. Like,
any
you know what I mean?
mobile device. I mean, you go out.
3000 was the first one that I thought that I could play outside, and not even in directs, but I mean outside and see stuff. Like my Go, I can't do stuff.
Like no matter what, your mobile experience is dampened by reflections and really bright direct sunlight. So I mean, in this case, it's definitely going to be a little worse. But the answer is don't play outside.
Hey, Colin.
Yeah.
Armando doesn't agree with some of the things you've been saying on this podcast.
Yeah.
He says the NGP is going to fail horribly. This is quite simple. Think about the machine rationally. A PS3 with tilt, touch, a great screen, and portable, you'd be stupid not to buy it if it's going to cost $400. Sony can't risk lowering the price, blah, 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 blah. Then he starts going like, why would I want to carry this thing around? I use up 2 pockets, as most people do nowadays. My cell phone, blah, blah, my GPS, and my wallet. Why would I want to carry around
carries a
something
GPS?
else? All right, no, I'm very tired and jumping through his email. Sorry, that was in parentheses. My cell phone, parentheses, this encompasses my music player based on the Go, internet, GPS, yada, yada.
Oh, okay.
So basically, let's edit.
I was gonna say he carries around the GPS.
Because those TomTom things are huge.
All right, my cell phone and my wallet. Those are his 2 pockets. Why would I want to carry around something else? Blah, blah, I've got it covered. He goes on about bitching about prices.
Same reason anybody wants to carry on a Kindle.
It has failure written all over it. Sony has another failure.
It really doesn't have failure written all over it. If anything, I think, obviously, what we've said a million times, price is going to tell the tale. Software always tells the tale. It looks like they're nipping that in the bud already.
But a pure hardware standpoint, it's got everything it needs.
Yeah,
But remember, the original PSP was like, oh my god, this thing's got so much power, and then like it failed, kind of. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't mean failed because everybody knows I hate when people say that. But you know what I mean? It came out and everybody's like, it's too expensive, and how did I use this? And why is it so hard to do music? And
Why I'm more optimistic is that there is that precedent. Like PlayStation
Learn from their mistakes.
Like they've already they've totally looked at this new platform as a way to remedy the problems of the PSP original. Like you've got the dual analogs, you've got the capacity to do trigger support, you've got kind of cross-platform like console version games, and which make it more accessible for developers. I mean, they've got all of their bases covered, I think.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I agree. I don't see unless there's a one way or another, they're gonna eat it on the price. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how low they get it. And I don't really see everyone's argument about like, why would I want to carry this thing around? You don't have to carry it around with you all the time. You don't have to carry it around in a fucking pocket. So like, why don't we stop talking about like really just looking for things for it to be wrong with it or whatever? I think we should be a little more optimistic just because we were so pessimistic about the PSP for so long. We now finally have something to be excited about.
Colin, hold on to your ass.
Yeah. All right.
You and I don't
I'm
like.
hold on to my ass right now.
We don't like. Hold on. This is
Okay,
one quick aside. We don't like working on. What if Live Area had trophies and rewarded you for walking certain distances or walking?
Well,
around
I'd probably
a total?
be like 140 pounds again. Then,
Okay.
Instead
And
of
he'd also carry about a man purse, so he could do it.
I would
Yeah,
carry it around my neck.
yeah, carry it as like a necklace.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. Though you had a real thing to say.
Oh, so the OLED thing, like, one thing, that just kind of occurred to me, that I've been thinking about is that, people are really freaked out that it's going to be super expensive. And honestly, what I think, the answer to that is Sony is one of the foremost purveyors of OLED, and they always have been. Like, they were the first to the market with the first TV that you could get for LED. It was like $5,000. It was 11 inches. But they sold it anyways. They're like, fuck you guys. We're going to make this work.
We're pushing technology.
Yeah, we're going to keep it
Get
going.
me Peyton Manning. I need a commercial.
And of course, they discontinued it in the United States, but they're still selling it in Japan. And if you look at their like Walkman series, which again is kind of like a utter failure, but I mean, it's not great. And they're implementing OLED in that. Obviously, that's like a 3-inch screen, but I mean, they are pushing this technology in it, and they've consistently been doing it so that they can make it more cost effective in the production thing. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find that the OLED is not like the biggest kind of the weight on the pricing. So I don't think they'll take nearly as much of a hit as everybody thinks they're going to.
I hope so. I hope it's not crazy expensive, and I hope.
It can't be. I really think it's not going to be below 300, and it's not going to be above 400. It's going to be one of those.
I hope 300.
300 to 349.
For everything they say, that'd be fine. I could deal with that. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but early adopters like me and Colin.
I'll buy it for $400. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, but yeah, $300 will be If they announce, I just want them to announce price so I can pre-order it. And get it
Oh,
out
we
as
didn't
well.
touch on this at all. There's a GameStop pre-order thing going out that has it listed at $999.99.
That is absolutely not the
That
case.
is not the real price.
That would be so
Don't
funny
worry
if that
about
was
that,
really
kids.
the price. I'd be like, well,
It's a good
I do
ploy
want
to see if
trophies.
you can get Sony to actually comment on the price now. You know what I mean? Because GameStop is the biggest retailer. Like they're gonna try. Anyways, final question comes from Mohammed. Beyond.
Beyond.
Hey guys, what was your favorite announcement about the NGP? For me, it's trophies and bigger games. Showing an Uncharted, showing trophies, and the fact that I could play that on the go, that I could go to some event somewhere and on the way play that. That is awesome.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
I mean, I don't want to be overly, or kind of like dodge the question here, but I think ultimately just the whole experience of a new emerging platform, like a wholly new experience.
That looks like it's doing a lot right.
Yeah, that
looks like it is. Who knows if it actually
definitely has the right pieces to make it awesome. So I think the whole thing in general just was surreal for me. I was like, this is great.
Cool.
Because
Colin, what do you got for me? What's your favorite?
Obviously, trophies were great.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that was inevitable, so I wasn't.
Yeah,
too
it
blown
wasn't.
away by
Yeah, you weren't caught off guard.
But yeah, just I honestly, the game library really blew me away. I thought we would hear about Uncharted or something, and they'd be like, well, we got these guys lined up, but then they were like, well, we got, like we said, like Resistance and Killzone. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I'm really excited to see like what this Resistance game is, who developed it, and where it fits into the story.
Excellent.
And let's not forget Call of Duty.
Yeah, called.
Yeah,
That blew me away the most. They didn't have to show anything but a Call of Duty.
All I had to
logo.
do was put the logo on the screen.
Yeah.
There you go, bitches.
They dropped the mic. Walk off.
So I thought that
Kodak out.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Exciting time to be a PlayStation fan. Of course, IGN and Podcast Beyond will be here for you. IGN's here every day.
Yeah.
Podcast Beyond posts every Thursday, so be a fan. We talk about it all on the internets too. You can follow
we got
us
a
on
lot.
Twitter.
The specifically the PSP2 NGP thing. We got a lot.
Lots
of stuff
of coverage
coming
up
up.
right now if
We
you go to
got
IGN.com.
we got a lot of coverage existing. We got a lot of like more in-depth tech stuff coming up on the Gear side. Also you'll find it on PlayStation and all that.
A lot of fun stuff too.
Yeah.
I think there's you're either a listener like me and Colin who don't understand tech at all, or you're Scott Lowe and you're super into it. And I think there's going to be a lot of content coming up to cater to both of you.
Yeah.
Scott Lowe's the hard store stuff, and then me and Colin are putting up pretty pictures that show you what exactly this is in sizing.
Well,
So,
and we're only in the beginning, dude. We got so
Yeah.
much to do, and it's going to be great. Like I'm really excited to see what happens with
yeah,
this.
we're going to turn a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
To keep up on it all, obviously you can follow IGN on Twitter at IGN. Follow Colin there at No Taxation. Follow me at Game Over Greggy, and follow Scott at
Slow IGN,
I always forget that.
SLOWE.
I always forget that one. Yeah, okay.
Also, let's quickly give it a shout out to our missing member Clemens, who's in Tokyo right
Yeah,
now.
the whole reason he's not here is because he's over there doing that. So.
He killed it yesterday, and he did a really nice job. So we miss him, and we want to thank.
Yeah,
him.
there were a lot of emails thanking him for the coverage and saying how good it was.
Yeah.
I think the people who, if you like Podcast Beyond, you should be reading IGN because IGN is us in written form. It's injecting our personality into what we're doing and trying to make it a clubhouse, right? That's what the whole point.
Yeah.
We want you to come there and know, hey, Colin,
I want you to come in my
what's Colin
backyard, climb up this tree.
Yeah.
Help me nail this board into this tree.
Take
Yeah.
off your pants. Let's
Oh,
eat some candy.
Jesus.
What? No, that's not how your clubhouse has worked. Weird.
One more shameless plug on my
Yeah, sure,
end.
please.
We actually just reignited the Tech Fetish podcast.
Yeah.
Which
and you're
is,
giving away cool stuff.
We're giving away cool stuff. We're doing a giveaway of AMD's God, I can't even remember the name, but it's a 3.4 gigahertz processor. So it's we're giving away several of them. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely tune in this week. But yeah, it's gonna be a weekly podcast. We're bringing it back if you're unfamiliar, and we talk about all sorts of stuff like the PSP2.
You post on Thursdays as well?
We don't have a set schedule yet, but
Okay.
we're
Look
working
for
on
it.
it.
If
But-
you subscribe on iTunes, you'll find it when you get there.
Yeah, so we got lots of cool talk, especially with the PSP2 coming up, so we'll get a lot more in-depth on that stuff. So
Right on.
tune in.
Radical. Quick editor beatdown. I'm jonesing for some DC Universe Online, so I'll be on all weekend. You can follow my Twitter to see what character I'm playing and when I'm up.
Voice
and on,
chat
so we can
possible.
jump on. God, I hope so. Jeez. I understand they're overloaded. They have a lot of things on this MMO, but yeah, if I could talk in the game, it'd be great.
And not have to Skype with me.
Not have to Skype. Me and Scott Lowe Skype. I've never felt so nerdy to have the Skype going on my computer, a headset on, the TV turned up while I'm playing so I can talk.
Yeah.
Still typing on the keyboard to tell other kids stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
I have a copy
Good
of the
times.
game now, but I'm not going to jump in quite yet.
Why not?
I want to get
Play with me this week. What's your problem?
I want to platinum New Vegas and Mass Effect.
Well,
2
at least
before
start downloading the 14 gigabyte,
That's not a bad idea. You should start
Yeah.
downloading at some point.
because
Well,
you're gonna kick
the
yourself.
install?
for that.
You're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. There's a 14 gigabyte.
14 gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah. If not more.
Jesus Christ! I thought Mass Effect's like 5, and I thought that was like extraordinary.
I had to delete stuff because I have a launch system.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah,
All right, we're getting sidetracked. That's the show, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Remember, every Thursday we're here. You can read us on IGN.com. We play a song, at the end of the show, you can send songs you want to hear to beyond@ign.com. They have to be your songs. You can't just send me.
Yeah, just don't send
Nelly
me a
Furtado
Jimmy's Chicken Shack song.
Oh God, Jimmy's Chicken.
Yeah.
I make the bed up straight. I always stay on that.
Yeah.
I hope Jimmy's Chicken Shack is listening and will send us that.
That was a hot track.
Anyways, today's song comes from a listener named Damon Hatfield. He DJs and records under the name Monster Zero. This is a track, RoboCop vs. Terminator, off Don't Worry About the World. It's one of my favorite Damon Hatfield jams. Beyond.
Beyond.
Terminator, you said I'll see you later. When you stepped out to buy some milk, but you never came back. RoboCop, you said you'd never stop loving me. Is that what you said to that new guy you're with? You know you just can't trust these cyborg men. You just can't trust these cyborg men. You just can't trust these cyborg men any farther than you can throw them. You said you'd be back. 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 See you later. You stepped out to buy some milk, but you never came